Well, you know, young man, I'm going to be 79 in a couple days.
That's pretty good.
So one more year and I'll be 80. That's
We'll
pretty
have a big old
good.
party.
Yeah, 80 is.
That's
like
pretty old. I went to get my hair done at the beauty shop, and this man was in there, and he was seven. He was 70, and he was trying to get in on the talk between me and the girl that was doing my hair. And he says, "She don't look that old. She don't look that old." Then all of a sudden, she put water on my head, and I turned around. And he says, "She looks that old." So
That's funny. Let me check what
He was hitting on you, Graham.
he was.
well, that's out of the question. I don't need no boyfriends except you kids,
We've been there.
you boys.
So, Mom, tell us about where was your first home at?
My first home, as a child, or
Yeah,
as a child, my grandmother's house on 30th Street.
30th Street.
Yeah, that was my first home. That's where I was born.
What city?
Got Detroit.
Oh.
It was my grandmother's home. I was born in my grandmother's bedroom.
Yep, and then
And Jeannie was there, and Aunt Marie was there, and my mother's mother was there, and it was my grandma Balava's house.
yeah,
So, so they said that.
out you came, and out Aunt Jeannie ran to the back
Well,
porch.
the doctor said to Jeannie, he knew my mother was getting ready to have me, and he said, "Jeannie, I think it'd be good if you'd stand in the backyard and just stay there till we call you." So I think she went out there, and
That's why she never had any kids herself.
'Cause how old was she when?
12 when I was born. She was
Oh.
12 years old.
Oh, I didn't know.
And anyway, I'm trying to think of what happened. They said that my mother told me afterwards, when I was a bit older, that they had put in wire stitching, that they didn't have the stitching like they have nowadays. And she said, "Boy, talk about something hurting when those wires went
Oh.
Cut 'em.
through."
So, what's your best memory of that house?
The best of that house.
The best
That I
memory.
can't. That I can tell you from hearing other people say what I've just told you. I was born there, so I can't remember what happened when I was born. I'm telling you what my grandma told me.
Mm-hmm.
And the best memory of that house. Oh, I had so many wonderful memories. The one that makes me laugh the longest is my grandmother had a big attic, and she had a bedroom upstairs in the attic, and she had these big trunks, and they were full of like quilts. My grandmother used to make quilts, and she had these big trunks just full of quilts. And one time, Grandma said to Lois and I, Lois was 2 years older than me, she said, "You get upstairs and get to bed now. I want you in bed." So we went up. I must have been about, Lois baby was 10 and I was maybe 8 or something like that. We were young. And so we went up, and all of a sudden we were laying in the bed, and Lois, we had an aunt that died of cancer, and I guess before she died, she just looked so stalked and so thin, and she was the loveliest person out. She really looked scary, because she was with that cancer. It was so bad. And so me and Lois are in the bed, and I said, "I wonder what's in those trunks up there." And Lois said, "Aunt Eve." And the two of us, I said, "Who?" And I knew who Aunt Eve was, So she scared me, Aunt Eve, because she looked so staunch and,
Yeah, sickly.
yeah. So Lois ran out of the bed, and I right behind her. Both of us down the steps, and we said to Grandma, "We're sleeping down here in this bedroom. We're not sleeping upstairs."
What about the time you smoked in that house? Didn't you smoke in that house?
Yeah. I smoked, yeah.
In Grandma Balava's house out the window or something? Was there
Jerry's the one that did that. Jerry was the one, he was smoking upstairs in the attic.
Grandpa?
No, my son, Jerry.
Oh.
Oh.
He was, I went
The
to,
same house in Detroit?
Yeah.
So how long did you live there?
I lived there, when my mother remarried, my real father died. And we lived with my grandma until, like, my brother Dell was born. We lived there, like,
4 years?
4 or 5 years,
Oh.
And
She owned that house forever until
Yeah.
she went into a home. So she had it.
yeah,
We were all in that
So
house.
it was your grandma's house, but
Yeah.
you lived there?
As a
she
child,
lived there?
as a young
Oh, is it?
child.
Okay.
as a young child. No, she never lived there. She visited Grandma. And,
Yeah, I was scared to death of her.
My grandma was a staunch German. Her mother and father came on the boat from Germany over here to America.
Okay.
But she was born here in America.
Mm.
But both of her family was German. All her family was German.
Mm.
And so I'm about 3/4 German because my mother's father was Irish, but her mother was German. So I'm almost all German, you know. German. Well, we're American, you know.
Right.
I mean, I'm not a Gestapo or nothing like that. But I mean, we have the German blood, you know.
That's cool.
So tell us how you met Dad.
Oh, let's see. I don't wanna.
Okay. You don't have to do anything you don't want to
You
do,
don't.
especially.
You don't remember?
I remember.
Was it? Were you in Garden City when?
No, we lived in Detroit.
Are you afraid you're gonna influence me the wrong way?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not gonna influence anybody. I just.
Is it?
Okay, I'll tell you.
Okay.
I'll probably regret this the rest of my life. Me and my girlfriend wanted to go to the show, to the Hollywood Theater. And so we were going to see Rhoda Ballet with Bing Crosby and Bob Hope. So two of us got in, we took the streetcar and we went to the Hollywood Theater. And we were sitting there and we were watching the movie and enjoying it. And all of a sudden she started talking to the boy that was sitting in back of her. And your dad was sitting in back of me. And so we're sitting there and she said, they're going to drive us home after this movie. And I said, I don't know him. And I said, I'm afraid to go home. She said, oh, Judy. I said, well, as long as you drop me off first and then you go. And so anyway, we came down. The movie was over. We watched the movie and we came down and I thought, I don't think I'm going. But it was raining, cats and dogs. It was in January, but it was raining so hard, you could hardly move. And we thought, we won't get to a bus fast enough before we'll be flooded. So there was your grandpa and his best friend sitting in the car, you know, waiting for us. So I went, you know, and she went. She sat in the front seat with his boyfriend, and I sat in the back with your grandpa. And they took us right home. They didn't do nothing wrong or anything. They did, but my mother had told me, don't you ever do that, you know. And when I came home and she found out I did, I really got it, you know.
But those days,
but they didn't do nothing wrong, those boys.
It wasn't typical for boys to abuse women back then. Was it?
Not, I don't
Or
think so.
manipulate them or
Well,
take advantage of them?
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
I guess I didn't.
Boys are boys, right?
But he wasn't the way your grandpa. He didn't try to even kiss me. So he just took me home and I said goodbye, and he said for me to give him my phone number, and I tried to write it where he couldn't read it, and I handed it to him and I went to get out of the car and he said, I can't read this. And my girlfriend gave him my number and I went up. And the next day he called me up on the phone. Is it okay if I come over? You know, and that's how I met him. That's honest to God's truth.
Well, that's a good story, Mom. That's not a bad
honest to
story.
God's truth. He didn't get fresh with me or anything. He was a gentleman with me.
That's cool.
But he was older than me. I was like 15 and he was like 17 or 18.
Oh, that ain't bad.
Yeah.
So how did you know that he was the one?
The minute I looked at him, I fell in love with him.
Really?
He was a handsome
He was
boy.
really good looking
He
guy.
was a real handsome boy.
So you were probably pretty nervous in that back seat.
Yeah, I was, but I was glad to get out of it. But he sat on one side of the car, on one side of the seat, and I sat on the other side. And he was really, I have to say, he was a gentleman.
He was just chatting it up with
Yeah,
you?
just asking, who are you? How old are you? You know, and things like that. Where do you live? And
Were you from the same town?
I lived in, we both were from Detroit. He lived around Verner Highway, and I lived around West Chicago and Greenfield. So we didn't live close to each other at all. So we never would have met if we wouldn't have gone to that show, you know. So that's how.
And the rest is history.
So, yeah,
The rest is history.
He kept calling up, and we kept going out, and
He came to your house?
yeah.
To whenever? at first
Yeah.
to meet you.
But they broke up a lot.
Yeah, we broke up a lot.
They broke up, got back together, broke up, got back together.
Yeah, I knew him 4 years when we were married.
Oh,
You know, so we knew each other real well. We'd been back and forth and broke up so many times. We knew each other like two brother and sister, you know.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
But you knew it was gonna work.
yeah, I loved him. I can remember praying to God, please let us get married. Please let us get married. And I was happy. I was 18 when I was married, and he was 21. So
Almost.
he asked me how old I was, and I was 15, and I told him I was 16. And so then that was bothering me that I lied like that. So we went out after that. You know, he came over and we were sitting talking. I said, by the way,
87 for me.
I said, by the way, I got to tell the truth. I'm not 17
16.
or I'm not 16, I'm 15. He said,
Oh my gosh.
and he said, no, it didn't seem to bother him, you know. And I said, well, I'm glad you're not mad at me. He said, oh, that's just like, what was the excuse? What was it, how he said? He said, that would be like marrying a man and finding out he didn't have any toes. He said, that's nothing to worry about. You know, don't worry.
Just age.
Yeah, he said, that's nothing so bad. You know, he said, I thought you really had something to tell me, you know.
So,
What? Do you know anything about his lineage?
yeah, his people.
Oh, yeah. What do you want to know?
I'd have always just kind of been curious where his
Grand
folks.
Rapids is where he was born.
Oh, okay.
And they lived up there in Grand Rapids. And that was like during the Depression. And the father had trouble finding work. So finally he came down here to Michigan and he found work. He was what do they call it? They draw diagrams, lithowaiter.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, he worked for a company like copying things and drawing things. I can't think of it.
Architect? Not an architect, right?
Draftsman.
Lithowaiter. I can look it up.
Anyway, he drew pictures of things for different companies, and that's what he did. And then he for a while he didn't have a job. During the Depression, everybody was so poor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they lost 3 houses during the Depression.
Oh, wow.
My poor mother-in-law and father-in-law, and they had like 3-4 kids at that time. And so then they found the house near Vernon Highway, and it wasn't a glamorous, beautiful house or nothing like that. But she put all her time, and so did he, into the family. And even though she didn't have a lot materially, she had the sweetest heart and the sweetest children you'd ever want to see. All her time and money went into her kids. They didn't have a real beautiful home. They had like, I don't know if you've ever heard of them or not, but there's terraces, 3 terraces. You know, they call them terraces. There's 3 houses.
Kind of like a flat.
Oh, yeah.
3 houses connected together.
Okay.
You know, but
Yeah.
you have separate entrance and exits, separate, you know. It's like
Mailboxes
3 different
and-
families
yeah.
lived there.
Okay.
And but he had an upstairs, and I think they did well considering they lived through that Depression, which was terrible. They said the Depression. I was born right after the Depression. I was born during the World War II. I was born during World War II, or right before World War II. But your grandfather, my husband, was born during the Depression, and his family, they said, had it really hard because he was the 3rd or 4th child.
Tell me it's your birthday. What's the name? Judy. Judy, and how old are you today, Judy? 80. 80? All right, you guys want to shine this light on there for me? All right, I'm going to steal your guys' light. Okay? All right.
You ready, Mama?
Attention, Texas Roadhouse. We have a very special guest in the house tonight. This is Judy. Can everyone say hi, Judy? Hi, Judy. She's here with us celebrating her 80th birthday. All right, on the count of 3, I need your help with the big Texas Roadhouse style. Yeehaw! Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeehaw! Happy birthday.
Yep.
I want to thank you all for all the flowers, cards, and good wishes for my birthday. I certainly never expected such a wonderful, beautiful birthday. I've got more cards than I ever had at Christmas time. And I just can't thank you folks enough. Thank you, each and every one of you, for thinking of me and doing such a nice thing for me. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
So tell us a little bit about Jerry.
My son, oh, he was a joy. I prayed I'd have Jerry. I prayed I'd have somebody just like my husband, as sweet as my husband. And I was so happy that, and when I went into labor, I was living with my mother, and I said, "Oh, Ma, I'm in labor," and the water broke and it went all over the floor, and my mother got upset. She said, "Mitchell, get in here and get this child to the doctor, to the hospital right away." So my husband was gone to work. He worked, building houses and things like that. He worked all over, and so they came in and they took me into the hospital. I went to St. Joseph's on the east side. I went in and I had just enough money to get me in the hospital and to be there one day, and they made me go home the next day because I didn't have any more money.
And no one had insurance?
No.
They didn't do it that way?
No.
Everyone just paid cash for their medical?
Yeah.
Oh.
So anyway, after that, I somehow got insurance, but for Jerry and Cindy both, I didn't have no insurance. And I was only allowed to stay in the hospital one day to have the baby, go in, and then I had to come home the next day. And when that isn't exactly fun, coming home the next day,
Especially
and
back then.
they were like, Cindy and Jerry was like you and your brother, a year apart. And then Kim came next. There was Jerry first, Cindy next, Kim, and then you. But you came 5 years after Kim, didn't you?
3 after Kim. 3 years.
5 after Jerry.
Yeah. So what's the best memory you have of Jerry as a little boy?
Well, one time I had so many sweet memories. Jerry was a joy to me. One time I got up and I was going to get my pack of cigarettes, and I took one of the cigarettes out and I laid the pack down, and there was each cigarette he had taken a ink pen and drawn a circle around halfway around the cigarette. He said, "You can't smoke more than where that circle is." He did so many things. He was always a joy to me. I loved him. He was good.
So when he was little,
When he drank the Drano?
yeah, what about that story?
We were all sitting in the living room, me and him and the girls, and watching TV and that. It was almost similar to what happened with Michael. We were all sitting there, and all of a sudden Jerry's gone. And I ran in the bathroom, and here he got the Drano, and he's sitting in the fizzing, and I almost had a heart attack. I threw it out, and I grabbed Jerry, and I went by the next door neighbor, and I said, "Would you please get me into the hospital as fast as you can?"
Because you didn't drive at that time?
Yeah, because I didn't drive. I said, "I'm not sure whether he drank Drano or not." And they said, "Oh my God." Well, the guy got so nervous, he took me right to the police department instead. And he said, "You can get her there faster than I can." And so they took me in, and
He was in the hospital a while,
a
wasn't
month,
Yeah.
a month. And they still didn't want to let him come home. But
So he
finally-
did? He did actually take some?
I don't know if he did or not, but I asked the girl, one of the nurses there, I said, "Are they doing anything in here for him that I can't do at home?" She said, "No." She said, "You can do,"
So how are they going to hold him for a month? That's a long time.
Yeah.
they kept,
Because that's what he said. He said his esophagus was burned up or something like that.
that's what I think happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was pretty scary for you. Each one of your kids, you have.
I had one terrible episode with each one. Each
So
one.
what was it with Cindy?
And her name was Nancy, and she was good friends. She was as old as Jerry, but she was good friends with Cindy and Kim. And when they were little, before, when Nancy was like 4 years old, and Jerry was 3 or 4 years old, they were too young to know anything about life. But me and Sophie, her mother, used to be good friends, and we'd always be together and talking and that. And one time, I heard Sophie say, "Oh, Judy, look here!" And I looked up there's Jerry coming on his two-wheeler bike down the street with a Kotex around, right around his horn. He had this Kotex. I said, "Jerry, what are you doing?" He says, "That's my sweatband." So that's one thing that I laugh every time I think of Jerry. Boys are really they're really wonderful, because you never know what's coming out of their mouth. You just never know. He thought that was his sweatband. He didn't want my Kotex.
Now, what is the thing that you're most grateful for about Jerry?
That he pulled through when he drank that Drano. Yeah, that probably is the most grateful.
And what do you...
Survival.
Yeah. So what do you love most about Jerry?
Well, what do I love the most about him? That he's so good to me, that he's my caregiver. He takes care of me 24 hours a day. He's there day and night taking care of me. And he never says I'm too much. He never tells me to quit. He just goes along with me, and he takes excellent care. I never sleep on dirty sheets. He takes my sheets, he washes them, hangs them outside on line, puts them on the bed. I never am in a dirty bed. He makes sure I get 3 meals a day. He keeps the bathrooms nice and clean. Jerry, he's a wonderful housekeeper. Sure, we get in messes now and then when all the kids come over, but he works so hard to raise me, not to raise me, but to keep me in a good, healthy environment, and I'll always be grateful for him.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for him, I might be in a nursing home.
Mm.
But he said, "I'll stay as long as you want me, Ma." And that was all I wanted, because, otherwise I could have just been pushed away in a nursing home,
Or died one of those times you fell.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Kelly. What you think about Kelly?
Oh, I think Kelly's a perfect angel. She never caused me any trouble at all. She was a beautiful little child, and she made her first communion and confirmation, goes to church every Sunday. Her youngest boy, I think, is going to make his confirmation. And she always minded. The girl minded. She didn't cause no trouble. She was a good little girl. She was really good. Of all 3 of his kids, she was the one that minded the most. Carrie. I think Carrie's a wonderful little girl. I think she has a big job in life, but I think she'll do it, because she's proven already that she can. She works hard every day. She is a good mother. She works hard. She's always been good to me. She has a hard life. She has a real hard life right now, but she made it that way, and she knows it. But
We got along a lot when we were younger.
yeah, she's a good girl.
So what about Crystal?
Crystal is, she's my little baby doll. I worry about Crystal. She has it hard too. She has those 2 children she's trying to raise alone, goes to work all the time, every single day, and tries to help Jerry if she can, when she can. And
So Grandma sees Crystal's kids. I mean, they spend the night almost
all
weekly.
the time. They're there all the time.
So
They're
she
2.
sees them all the time, and they are very comfortable with you, and
Yeah.
they're very comfortable to say, "Grandma, I need." If
But
they
they don't
need
even
something,
say I need. They just come into the doorway and they'll say, "How about an ice cream?" And they head straight for the refrigerator. They're used to being with me. They're at ease with me. Like maybe one of the other kids would come in and sit down and just say,
Not know what to do.
Yeah. But they ain't. They know. They know I got ice cream and
all my
pop.
grandkids are like that.
Yeah.
They kind of go over there, and they're not there enough, so they just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Crystal's kids, they're not afraid of me, I don't think.
Yeah.
And Jerry lives there too, and that's their grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
So they have him,
So
I had
let's-
to laugh talking about Crystal. We went somewhere. We went for Christmas. We went out and we were doing some Christmas shopping. and the little boy was about 3 or 4 at the time, about 3, I think. Nicky, yeah. And he wanted this winter hat, and it was $25, and his mother said, no, that's too much. And Jerry says, no, that's too much. And his little sister, what's her name?
Jazzy.
Jazzy said to him, she says, ask Grandma Van Gogh. So he says, Grandma, I said, yes, you can have it. And I never regretted it. It tickled me so much. She said, go ask Grandma Van Gogh.
And you heard her?
Yeah. How could I say no?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Cindy.
Okay, Cindy was a good little girl. Cindy was always good. The thing that hurt me the most about Cindy, the thing I'm talking about, the thing where she got hurt me the most.
Yeah.
Her and Jerry were sitting at the table, and we had Jell-O in a big dish, and usually I did the dishes pretty soon after we ate. But this one day I didn't. I went in the living room and I sat down with your grandpa, and we were sitting there talking. All of a sudden we hear this glass break, and we hear Cindy screaming, and we went running into the kitchen. Here, she cut the tendon, and the blood skirting all over, and she was 3 years old, I think, 2 or 3. And I grabbed a thing, and I said, I called out for the woman across the street, Sophie, my best friend. I said, Sophie, please come here and stay with my kids while we take Cindy into the hospital. We have to get her there as fast as we can. Because she was just squirting blood out of. And so Sophie came, and she sat, and Jerry and I went, and we sat there, and they kept her overnight, and they had to get in special doctors to operate on her because she was so little, the tendons and everything. She cut all the main things in there. And they would, they started asking me, what was you doing? How did this child ever do this? And I had to tell them the truth. I said, well, what happened is they were fighting. They were fighting over the Jell-O, and the bowl broke. And she went down on the bowl.
Jerry trying to get that last bite of Jell-O.
Yeah.
So what's your best memory of Cindy when she was little?
When she was little? Oh, when she was in the school, maybe I don't know how little she was, but when she was in the high school, remember when she was that Pink Panther?
Yeah.
That tickled me to death. She
was the mascot?
She was one in the Pink Panther. She was one of the.
I can't remember.
She was in plays at the high school. She was in plays.
Dramatics.
Yeah, and she was. I'm trying to think.
Because it's that creative side of her, right?
Yeah, and she always got good marks in school.
Yeah.
Cindy wasn't for boys when she was in school. Cindy had a lot of girlfriends, but she wasn't for boys. Kim, the only boy Kim was interested in, as long as I can remember, is Gene. And you weren't really too boy crazy either. So I'm glad that. And Jerry
had a lot of girlfriends.
Yeah, they all liked Jerry. But. Well, Cindy was very proper and decent. She was very, very proper and decent. They all went to the Catholic Church. I raised them. I had them baptized, and I raised them in the Catholic Church. They made their first communions, their confirmations, and they were Catholic until they decided to go their own way. And they, of course, I don't know if everybody does, but my kids all knew the 10 Commandments and the Beatitudes, and they went to church, and they knew the Bible, And I'm sure she raised you according to that way.
Yeah, he's got a God shirt on, so
Yeah.
she did.
Yeah.
She was a good girl. Your mother was a good girl. She never fooled around with boys or nothing like that. Cindy never did.
No, she really didn't.
She cared more about getting good marks in school, and she got pretty good marks in school. She got A's and B's, and she liked to have fun, sure, but with the girls.
I just remember, like, always saying, your mom would say, can you babysit? And I'd be like, babysit? Like, what are you talking about, babysit? One of them?
Just me.
I'll take one of them. And she'd be like, I gotta find 4 babysitters all the time. I'm like, you kids are crazy.
That's true. That's so funny.
I was there the day the neighbor called and you guys were on the neighbor's garage. And I swear you guys were all little. And I'm like, the lady called and Cindy goes, the kids are under our garage. I said, what? I'm not even big enough to climb. That's where you
And
were.
we were like 5 and 6.
Probably.
You really kept your mother up. It's a wonder she even has a brain left. I remember one time we all got in the car. Yous were all little too.
Are you taping yet?
1, 2,
Yeah.
and 3.
Oh, good.
And yous were all little and you're all in the car. And I think it was Joey started taking the wheel off. He's taking something, he's sitting in the back seat. And I said, Cindy, this car's gonna fall apart. This kid is reassembling this car. She said, Joey, quit it now. I said, stop him, before we go rolling down the street. Because there were so many of you that, and each one of you would do a different thing. And she just couldn't keep up with it.
No.
God bless her, sweetheart. And I had 4 of my own, so I should have been at least, used to it. But you never get used to kids.
I remember once you guys all came over to my house, and so Christy was in a little walker, and so that would have meant Christy probably was 6 months old, 8, old enough to be in a walker,
Yeah.
but she still was a little baby. So David is only 3 months older than her, and we had walked out of the living room. This is when I lived across the street from you. And we walked back in, and David is on top of the walker, and he's dancing and shaking it, right? I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, Cindy, he's gonna hurt her. Because great. I mean, Christy's just like,
How great.
it was so funny because like we all had girls,
Yep.
and
She
had all
and
the
you
boys.
guys.
So in the talk of the family circle was like, are we going to what party or whatever? And is Cindy coming? And is she gonna bring those boys with her? Because we got to take some precautions before we get there.
It was
One time-
always just more so.
One time-
she's asking somebody to babysit, and we're like,
One
no.
time she was doing the wash and you kids had to go for summer. It was either for, not basketball, but baseball or something. You were all little, you would have been like in the little league.
Mm-hmm.
And one of you kids showed up, I don't remember which one of it was, but one had 2 different stockings on. And I said, Cindy, those kids got 2 different stockings on. She said, they had just taken their bath and I laid their clothes off. And when you got so many, it's hard.
Mhm.
It's real hard. Nobody knows what your mother went through.
Yeah.
I know.
I do, but
I remember do you remember when she lived in Belleville? And I think it was your first birthday party, which meant she had just had Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
And she was coming home from the hospital that day. And your dad had invited the entire family over. And she had just literally came home from the hospital like the day of. And so we got over there and we're like, what can I do? Can I clean? What can I do? What can I do? And we're like, she can't be feeling well and she's got 30 people here. And we were like, oh.
In the house?
In the house. It was in the house, in that trailer that was out in Belleville. So it was either when she had Tommy or when she had David. It was either one of you. But we were all like, this poor girl.
yeah, Cindy really had it.
She
Really
always
hard.
rose to the occasion
Yeah.
though.
But she was so good. How
She
she
would
ever
never
worked,
said anything.
how she ever worked when they were little is beyond me.
Mhm.
Like when she worked at the bank at that time.
Yeah, but they were older then.
We were a little older. I know she was doing home interiors and gifts
Yeah.
Yeah.
for a little while.
She was never lazy. She always worked at something.
No.
God, I'll never know how she did. But I did it myself. She saw me. I had
Yeah.
the 4. When she was pregnant for the 4th child, I went up to her. She came over and she lifted up her thing and she said, see? And I touched it and I said, whatever you did to make that like that, don't do it again. That's what I told her.
So let's talk a little bit about Cindy's kids. So do you remember when Joey was born?
Joey was born in Germany, wasn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah.
Mom said in a suitcase.
Could have been.
His bed was a suitcase on top of the dresser.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's what
okay.
she said.
Oh, wow. That's
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
I know that she was really lonely over there.
Yeah, she must have been. It must have been hard on her. With no family. It was hard on us here. We missed her so bad.
Yeah.
You know, but it must have been harder on her.
And back in those days, you couldn't just call. I mean, phone calls were too expensive, so she
Yeah,
was really all by herself.
yeah.
And you know,
And she never complained. Cindy never complained. She was so happy that she was married to Joe. She loved Joe and she was happy she was married to him. So,
Loyal.
yeah, she was very loyal.
Loyal is
She always was.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think so.
She was a good girl. And she was never a troublesome child to me. She never, like I said, she never fooled with boys. She had girlfriends and the girlfriends would go play baseball or whatever, but Cindy was not a troublesome child. She really wasn't.
Yeah.
She was very easy to get along with.
So if you had something to tell her, what would you tell her?
That I love her and that I'm proud of her and that just to continue doing whatever you've been doing because you're doing just great.
Yeah. And so what about Michael?
We're proud of Michael. We love Michael. That we're glad he's alive after. You must have climbed up on the
counter,
Oh, okay.
and then
And-
to get to the microwave, you would have had to have.
And the pills were on top of the microwave.
Right
Yeah.
there, yeah. And all of a sudden I heard you choking and I get up, I go, oh Lord. And I got so scared. I said, did you take these? Yeah. Oh no, and you couldn't remember, you were too young to know how many you took.
You were like only 2 years old, 18 months or something. You were
And-
little.
18 months?
I wanted to get in touch with your mother and father so in case they had to take you right into the hospital, you know, which is what they had to do.
Yeah.
And so I called Rita. Well, Rita almost had heart failure. Before I turned my back, Rita was in the door. Where is he? Where's Michael? Where's Michael? And then your mother and father came in. I think Rita already had you on the way to the hospital by the time your mother.
So she was driving me in after that.
Yeah. And we were all crazy with worry, you know. All,
Yeah.
I said, these children got to go to their parents. This is more than I can take. So, but it all turned out good. She is a real joy, and you've done a wonderful job with her. Tell Edie I love her. I'm her great-grandma, and I love her with all my heart and soul. I pray for her all the time, and I just want her to be a good girl and stay out of trouble and have a happy, good life. Always say your prayers every day, honey, and pray to God and Jesus, and they'll take care of you. Whenever you get afraid of anything or things go wrong for you, you pray to God, and He'll be there, and He'll make it all better.
So what about Tommy?
Oh, Tommy's a good boy. He's real good.
Yeah.
I pray for him. I worry about him. I would like to do, well, we did try. I would like to do more to help Tommy if any way I can. I pray for him every night. And I like his wife. I love her. And his kids are all beautiful. I think Tommy, of all of us in the family, had the roughest road. I think Tommy had the roughest. Little Tommy, of course, is in my prayers all the time. I'm praying that God will somehow or other give him special blessings so that he can speak or can walk, or we'll always pray for Tommy. He's a special angel in our life. He's our little angel. And for as far as his father, I think he's proven already what a wonderful, decent man he is. He's proven to everybody. He didn't cry and carry on and get mad at God for what he has to deal with in life. He just took it and did it. And I take my hat off to Tommy for that. I'm very proud of Tommy. Tommy has proven already that if he's ever done anything wrong, he's paid for it.
Yeah, and just him having, Tommy at such a young age.
It wasn't his fault. He was a kid,
Yeah.
And I think he's done a wonderful job with Tommy.
Yeah.
I don't think nobody could have done a better job. None of us.
Yeah.
I think he's done a wonderful job. I think Tommy's a real credit to the family.
I agree. So how about David?
David's good. David, I have to laugh about David. I'll tell you, you'll get a kick out of this. you know, David was a baby for a long time. He was a baby in the family, and I did spoil him. When we used to go by Cindy, I'd really spoil him. I'd say, "Oh, David, this and David." Remember when I used to babysit for you kids, and I'd always say, "Don't hurt David." Now he was a baby, you know. And I'll never forget. David said to me,
He was a target too.
he said to me, I'll never forget this. He said, he says, "I'll tell you one thing." He says, "Grandma always would say, David, David, you're such a good boy." He said, then Joyce had Mark, and Mark and Grandma went over, and it was goodbye, David, hello, Mark. And he said that to me, and he made me laugh so hard. He said, all of a sudden, it was goodbye, David, hello, Mark. That's what makes me laugh when I think of David. He's the one that told me that. He
so
makes me
funny.
laugh, you know,
Yeah.
because he thinks of things in a different way, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved him just as much, but all he could see is David getting all the, Marky getting all the attention, you know.
Yeah. So you boys were her boys.
Yeah.
And then the rest of us brought her granddaughters, but you guys were her boys. So that's always been special.
Yeah,
That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Kimmy.
Oh, Kimmy.
Kimmy, Cocoa Puffs. So what's your favorite memory of Kim? Or let's talk.
Oh, she got all A's in school. She always was my bright student. You know,
She's the
she got like
smartest
all
one.
A's and B's.
So when you were pregnant with Kim, you almost lost her.
Oh yeah, when I was pregnant with her, I didn't know I was pregnant with her. And my mother and I went out shopping at the store, and all of a sudden I said, "Ma, I gotta go to the bathroom, come on in with me." So I stood against the wall like this, and I slid right down, my body slid. And I was laying there, and all of a sudden I said, "I gotta go to the bathroom," and the blood was just pouring out of me. And I said to my mother, "I gotta get home right away. I gotta get into the doctor's tomorrow for sure." I said, "I'm just hemorrhaging."
How far along were you?
4.5 months.
But she didn't know she was
But
pregnant.
I didn't know I was
Oh.
pregnant. Because I had Jerry and Cindy, and then
And Cindy and
well,
Kim are only a year apart,
Yeah,
so
they're
Cindy
11
would have been a
months.
baby.
Cindy was only a baby when this happened to me. I certainly didn't know I was pregnant with another baby, you know, and I should have known, but I didn't. And so the doctor said, "Judy," he said, "you're 4.5 months pregnant right now." He said, because he said, "To get on the table, I want to examine you." And he said, "If you really want this baby, which he knew I was Catholic, and he was Catholic, he said, I know you won't believe in abortion." I said, "No." I said, "If I'm going to have a baby, I'm going to have it, that's all." And so he said, "I want you to go home and lay down and just lay for maybe a month. Just lay." He says, "Get somebody else to come in and watch the two kids during the day," because they were little. Cindy was what, 1?
Well, she wouldn't have been, she was
Not
1 when
even
Kim was
1.
born,
Yeah.
so she would have been probably about 6 months.
He said, "You'll have to get somebody to help you with the kids," because my husband had to go to work to pay the bills, you know.
Yeah.
And anyway, when she was born, she was the prettiest little baby. I'm so glad that I did what the doctor said. I went home and I laid and
Stayed horizontal.
my brother had a girlfriend that would come in and play with the kids and watch them all day. And then when my husband come home, he'd have to do the wash, and because there was diapers all the time, and he had to cook the meals, and he took care of everything. He did it too. You would have been proud of your father how hard he worked for you kids.
Yeah.
And when she was born, she was just beautiful. She had pitch black ringlets and big blue eyes. She was just but she was a real tiny baby. She was tinier than any of my babies. And but she was worth whatever I had to go through. I had to take it easy. Because I was climbing high stairs and doing wash downstairs. And he said, "You just gotta, if you really want this baby, you'll lay and take it easy." He said, "I know it's gonna be hard for you because you've got 2 little kids that's gonna demand your attention. But he said, if you really want this 3rd one, you'll get somebody to watch them."
You did it for her.
And I did. And now look at how wonderful Kim is. I'm so glad I did. Because what if I wouldn't have had enough smarts to realize God doesn't tell you how beautiful a baby's going to be. He just says you're pregnant. And from there on, it's you and God, you know,
Yeah.
you just don't. I was so tickled when she was born, and she was such a beautiful baby.
Yeah.
Very tiny and petite, but so beautiful. I took her over to see my grandma Belava, and she said, "Oh, Judy, she's beautiful. She looks just like your father, my father who's dead for all these years."
Mm-hmm.
So Kim was a joy to me. Kim was a. I don't regret having anybody, and I had 2 miscarriages, and I feel I miss them, but I feel they're with their grandpa in heaven. You know, they weren't abortions, they were miscarriages.
Yeah.
So I just went to the bathroom and that was
Out they
it,
came.
out they came.
So tell me, what's a thing that you would say to Kim nowadays?
I would say, job well done. She works so hard,
Yeah, I know you're
and
proud
she's
of
so
her.
good to me. She's so, all you kids are so good to me. I couldn't pick one over the other and say this one did more than this one. I could never do that because all 4 of them are just angels, and I couldn't say one did more than the other. Each one does in their own way. Jerry does, he gives me every day, and these 2 give me money and they take me where I need to go to the doctors and they help me. Your mother, the minute she knew I had to get to the doctor, she told them out there and she came in, drove me to the doctor, sat there with me till I think you came in that day. I think it was about a
At
month
the
ago.
hospital, yeah.
Yeah, my children are just angels. If everybody's children were as good as my children, they'd have no complaints. They'd have no complaints.
No
They'd say
worse.
It was worth it. They'd say it was worth it.
Yeah.
You know, it was worth whatever you had to go through.
So how about Jenny Benny?
Oh, she's my sweetheart too. I love Jenny. Jenny's so cute. I called her the other day for her birthday to wish her happy birthday. I taught Kim into getting her in a Lutheran school, and I've never regretted it. The girl is so brilliant. Now she's got her bachelor's degree. She'll probably go on and get her master's. I wouldn't be surprised. She just started a new job. She's got a beautiful, beautiful home and 3 beautiful children. They're just beautiful.
Yeah.
And she's got a good husband. They have a good marriage, a good solid marriage.
He cooks well for you.
Yeah, he cooks for all of them. And
So Grandma, Jenny will always have Grandma either for Thanksgiving or for Christmas. She always has her over there.
Yeah.
And then Dave cooks. And Grandma just loves how Dave cooks.
yeah. I was there one day and he made guacamole, is it?
Guacamole,
That
yeah.
green stuff.
I love
And
it.
he had made that, and I had never had that ever before. And I noticed his kids kept coming up and getting a chip and taking that, and they were eating that stuff. I thought, that's got to be good. I had never had any.
And it's green, and the kids are eating it. It's got to be good.
And so I got a chip, and I went and I ate almost the whole bottle and the whole dish of it. It was so good, I loved it. I said, Dave, who taught you how to make this? It was really good.
That's great.
And Jenny, I went when she graduated from college and when she graduated from high school, and she was valedictorian, and you can't imagine what you feel like when your kid has accomplished that.
Yeah.
You feel, and to know that you had a little part in it,
Yeah, 'cause you babysat her.
I babysat her until she went to school on her own.
Yeah.
And I used to babysit her all summer long before, she went to high school.
Yeah.
And I just love her. I'm so proud of her. Of course, I'm proud of all the children.
Yeah.
They all did, I think, pretty good.
Yeah, they're all on their own.
And none of them, are sassy to me or mean to me. They're
Yeah.
all nice. They're all good. Oh, I gotta tell you, Joyce. Joyce was my last baby. Joyce was so cute when she was born. She was so cute. I took her into the doctor, and the doctor just thought she was so pretty. He was going to examine her or something, and he said, "Oh my God!" When he took the blanket off, he said, "Another Liz Taylor." That's what he said about you. He was, I can't think. It was over at Garden City Hospital.
I just remember this picture with like a bowl cut or
was
something.
me, yeah.
And
I
there was
have
like
it
all
there.
the girls, or Uncle Jerry and the girls, and then there was like miniature you with this bowl cut.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say, like to both of you, and Joyce already knows because I've told her so much, but I've kind of kept some of my religious stuff to myself because I know you kids ain't Catholic. Not that that should make any difference, because God is everywhere and God is in each one of our hearts and souls and minds. And that's exactly what I would tell you. Always let God take first place in your heart and in your mind. If you put him first, he'll do the same thing for you. And as much as you think you can do for yourself, you can't do what God can do. I can't do what God can do. And I think the reason I was given such a good life and that he never took none of my children from me, she came so close to, when she was all cut up that time, she came so close to dying. And he pulled us through. He pulled Cindy through with the hand. He pulled Jerry through with the Drano. I can't imagine even living 1 minute without God, because I know I need him every day in every way. And if you keep that thought with you, always put God first. Say, I can't make it without you, Lord, because we can't even describe, you know, in our feeble minds what God is like. If he could create the whole world, the fish, the sea, the sky, the clouds, the grass, and all of us, how could we compare with something like that? We can't. We're, you know.
Well, Mama, that is the best legacy that you have really passed on to all your
That's
kids.
the one thing I
and
really,
we've tried to pass on to our kids.
I really want my kids to put their faith in God, because I know they'll be okay then.
Yeah.
I know then they'll make it, because God don't give up on you, never.
Yeah.
So don't give up on him ever.
No.
And that's a good point about your legacy, because if you hadn't have passed that on to your children, then I don't think my mom would have impressed it on us. And of course there was a period of my life when I kind of went astray, but at the same time it was almost like I always knew he was there, and I always felt like I was trying to hide from him.
We all are like that.
But I still knew, I was like, there's nothing I could do to like ever get away. Like he was just always there,
Yeah, that's
So
right.
I always knew that.
He always is,
and that's what I think.
always.
It's that seed that was
Always.
planted. That's just like
Yeah.
you just know.
Because you were always diligent to do that.
My husband said to me before he died, Judy, never doubt your God. Never doubt your God. He can do all the things you can't do. So never try to be without him. Never think you're as good as him, because none of us are. Nobody's as good as their creator. You're just not.
We're just clay pots.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your favorite memory of me when I was a kid?
Well, we were all just sitting around the house, and they were going to go to the store and get something, and she had a bunch of pop bottles in her hand and in a bag, and Kim got on the back of the bike, and this one got on the front with all these bottles, and here they're pedaling down the street. This one falls off in the middle of the street, broke all these bottles, and then landed right on top of all these broken bottles. She was cut from here to here. She was cut from one end to the other. And they came and told me, and I started running, and I flew down to where they said she was. And she was screaming, "Oh, Mama, I'm gonna die." And she was all blood, And I said, "No, you're not." I said, "Now don't talk that way." I said, "You're gonna be just fine."
But what were you thinking? She's gonna die.
I'm thinking, Lord, don't let her die. And so then they put her in the
Ambulance.
and he was sopping up the blood and trying to
So they could see
keep her together.
where it's coming from, right?
Yeah.
But I kept telling her, she kept saying, "I'm gonna die." I said, "No, I wouldn't let her give in to that."
How old was she?
She was 11. She was real
Oh.
little.
So I was about a year older than Evie.
Coherent.
And I had like 12 inches on my stomach that was cut, and then my hand, and Kim was just holding my hand together.
The hand was almost hanging off.
Oh.
She was, it's a miracle that you see her sitting there like that. It's a miracle. That's why never doubt your God. These are the miracles he can do. Without him, we're nothing. With him, we're everything. We just can't make it without him.
So what's the thing that you would say to me?
You've always been a good daughter. You've never let me down. You never give me a lot to worry about. You're
Good.
very generous, and you're very kind, and I've never been disappointed in you, Joyce. You've never bring me shame of any kind.
Yeah.
So
Thank you,
I'm
Mama.
very proud of you.
I'm very proud of you too.
Oh, thank you, sweetie.
Okay,
And
so
I'm very proud of you too, my
Thank you,
sweetheart.
Grandma. I love you.
okay, so what about Terry?
Terry's a good little girl. Terry was good. I babysat her. I
It's
babysat
another
all
story like
Joyce's
you and
kids.
Carrie.
I babysat for Terry. Terry has a strong will. You know, if she gets mad, boy, the heaven and earth is going to be shocked. But she changed a lot. Terry grew up a lot. Christy was sweet as could be and the
Yep.
nicest little
I
girl.
always remember. I remember she had the patch on the eye or whatever. I always just felt really sorry for her, but I think we kind of like always like we're like, what is that?
But she was a sweetest.
Stickers on it.
She still is. And look at now she's going towards her bachelor and the nurse. She's already an RN. Now she's going towards the bachelor of the RN. So she's.
You love Christy.
I love her and I'm proud of her and. You know,
what about Marky?
Marky's always done exactly everything I told him.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, I have to laugh with Marky. Now that you mentioned Marky, I babysat Marky from the time he was born until he graduated from high school. You know, I babysat him when he was in elementary school, and he was such a sweetheart to me. What was it?
Sammy, the store? Is that what you...
I used to take him. You know, she paid me to babysit.
I paid her $100 a week. And back then that was quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
But she spent probably $100 a week at the candy store with Marky and his little friends. 5 years old. That's why Marky didn't have teeth when he was 8. No, he did.
That's great.
But I know
He sure was a pleasure to me, though. He made me laugh. He was sweet.
Yeah.
One time, I was coming down the stairs over on our house on Belton, and he was coming up the stairs, and he had this flying plane, and he flew it up, and I'm coming down, and boom! Right,
Right in the face.
the tears coming to my eyes because it hurt so bad. He says, "I didn't mean it, Grandma. I really didn't mean it." I said, "I know you didn't. It's okay." But you know, he hit me right in the nose, that plane.
With you and him, it was always like, he could do no wrong. I used to say, he could kill somebody, and you would make an excuse for him. She's, well, he's a good boy.
Yeah.
He is a good boy, though. He really is.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, all my grandsons are good men. They're all good, and Marky turned out real good too.
Yeah.
Look at, he's got a good job, and I'd like to see him go to college, but he got his own
I'd like to
ideas.
see that too. Okay, so how about Lisa? You know, your kind of adopted daughter.
Yeah, I love Lisa and her 2 girls, and even Jerry, you know. But Lisa's gone way out of her way. I came in the picture with Lisa, or Lisa came in the picture with our family when she was like 14 years old. Her mother had died. And I felt sorry for Lisa because I knew she missed her mother. And I felt, being old enough to be her mother, I thought, you've got to show that kid extra, you've got to give her extra length. Because she had a bad temper. But I said, she'll get through this, and we'll all get through it. And one time she really got mad at me, but she came back around afterwards, and she's so good to me at Christmas and Easter and on my birthday. And I pray for Lisa every night, Lisa and her family. I raised her youngest son, her youngest daughter. We just adored Lindsay.
Yeah.
And we both spoiled her rotten.
And Mal was like frickin' frack with Marky. I mean, so a lot of times you had Marky, but you also had her probably, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Back then, I'm not sure.
Where did she live with you guys
Who?
after her mom died?
No, she lived with her dad, didn't she?
She did
till
live
he
with her
died?
dad, but then she moved up and then she lived with me and Mark. You always were trying to pray for her, but when Lisa came back to Michigan after she had Mallory is really when you took her under your wing, I think.
So she was further along, like in age, right?
Yeah, she would have been like 22 probably about then. And then she moved back to Michigan because when her mom died, she lived in Florida and with Louie. But she had a hard time with that.
When her mom
transition.
died, and then when her dad died, I didn't think she'd make it through that.
Yeah.
She pulled it through. She came through.
Yeah.
Now, she's so sweet. She can't do enough for you, you know. she had a hard life. That raising those two alone was hard,
Yeah.
you know, and she did.
And so she really, her and Grandpa really helped to raise Lindsay.
Yeah, both of them.
I mean, they just stepped in.
Yeah.
Like,
She came. I didn't even know she was pregnant. She brought that little baby and said, "Were you going to help me?" She said, "I want you to help me raise her like you raised Marky." Well, we'll see.
and then
Dad just idolized.
Dad loved Lindsay, like,
Yeah.
because it had been so long since there was a baby, and then he got this opportunity to have a baby again,
Yeah.
and
That's
We
awesome.
spoiled her rotten. We really did.
I never knew that story, so
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
Lindsay's so wonderful. She's so sweet and so cute. We did a good job on both of those. Mallory is just as sweet too.
Mallory is
And I'm praying that,
homecoming queen, and
yeah,
she's
I'm
just
hoping
simply
everything
beautiful.
goes along good for that family.
Yeah.
I pray for them all the time. And Lisa too. Lisa can be misunderstood. Sometimes she can seem really hard.
Well, she and him really hit it off.
Yeah.
Oh, I love her.
I've always understood her.
Yeah, she had a hard time, honey. She had a hard life. She really did, Jerry.
I know.
She had a hard life. We couldn't do enough to make it easier on her, you know.
Yeah. I kind of missed, because I was hanging out with them for a little while, but I kind of miss hanging out with them.
Yeah.
Okay, Mama, any final words that you'd like to say or say to your
Well,
family?
I'm going to tell all my children always to put their life in God's hands and to trust in Him for their future and their present and their past, and to let the past be gone, live in the present and pray for the future. And just be good. Stay out of trouble. Don't let trouble nest on your doorstep. Don't let it near you.
That's
Okay,
Okay?
good deal. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
awesome. I'm happy.
Hasta la vista.